Hello, this is Jason with BDI, and in this video I'm going to show you the different options available on the Settings tab within STS-LIVE. So this is STS-LIVE version 1.4 that I'm running, and this is the Settings tab. Within the Settings tab, I've got the project name, which I'm going to make a separate video about how to create different projects, but you can know that this is just where you would select different projects. We have the file path. This file path is where the data is saved when you were to click the start button, which is here, to start a test. So it starts in the C STS user data file path, and then after the data file path, STS-LIVE automatically generates a file name that includes the month, the date, and the time that the test starts with the month and date in the file name for each test. So I'm also going to make a separate video that's specific to TDMS files and how to look at those. So to continue with this video about the Settings tab, you can set your test duration within the Settings tab. The default is continuous, but you can set to any value you like from the list, or you can define your own time by clicking on the equals and entering in a desired test duration. Now, whenever you make a change in the settings window or settings tab, you want to hit the green check next to the save button, and that's going to save all of your settings. We have a sample rate option, so we can choose from any sample rate in the list, anywhere from 1 sample per second all the way up to 1,000 samples per second. And again, when you change that, you want to hit the green check to save that information. So within the Settings tab, we also are able to enter in information about the test. Now this is very useful for data acquisition where you're taking multiple tests over multiple days. Once you get back into the lab and you're analyzing your data, it's really nice to have information about the test that's specific to that individual test. So any information that you enter here under documentation, the title of the test, the author, the location, or the description of the test, this is all going to be saved right along with the data into the TDMS file. So when you're going back over and reviewing the data and you're not in the field anymore and it's a couple days afterwards, you'll be able to remember what happened for that test if you enter all the information into these fields here. So that's offered just as a convenience for gathering data out in the field so that you can be able to organize it once you're back and have to analyze it. Now within the Test Attributes tab, there's a couple different options. So we have Auto Zero. Now this Auto Zero is a setting that is a global setting for running a test. So if you click this Auto Zero button, what's going to happen is every gauge that has been defined as a gauge that will auto zero will be set to 0 at the very start of the test. So they'll have an offset that's also recorded in the TDMS file and indicated within STS-LIVE, but this will be what zeros all those gauges. That's again a global setting. So if I were to uncheck this and save it, the gauges that are set to auto zero individually will not auto zero because this has a red X. So if you want gauges to 0 at the start of the test, you need to click this green check box here and save it. And you also need to make sure that for the individual gauges, I'm going to click over to the other tab very quickly just to show you where that is. You want to make sure that you are set to 0 this gauge. So this would be not balanced or not zeroed, and this would be zeroed. So I can update that. And then with this green check, that gauge will auto zero when I start a test. The click comment field is a field that you can enter text into when you're actually running a test. So when this has a green check next to it, and you start a test, you're able to enter text into this field here and click on the comment button here. And what that'll do is enter a comment. And for my comment, it's just text into the test. So right where this green tick is, the information from this text field will be saved with the date and time of it in the TDMS file. So if you're taking a test and you need to indicate that something specific has happened at a particular point in time, you can enter the text here and then click the comment button and it'll save that into your test data. So that is what the click comment field is. So if I were to uncheck this and turn it off, when I'm running a test, I will not have the option to make those comments and enter the clicks. For export a .dat file, the standard output file for STS-LIVE is a TDMS file, which is easy to work with. There can be opened with Excel and imported into other various softwares to analyze the data. But we also have the option to export a .dat file alongside of the TDMS file. So if you need to have a .dat file, you can check this box and hit save, and then STS-LIVE will output a .dat file. So the test run counter option, if I turn that on and hit the green check, we can see that we now have a test run field that will auto increment starting at the value that's in here. So I can set this to any value that I like and hit save. And the next time that I run a test, it'll auto increment. So if I start a test, we'll see that when I started that test, it incremented to test number 22. And that data is saved into the TDMS file as well. So the final tab within the settings tab is the user login tab. So the user login tab allows you to log into the system to be able to edit sensors. So right now I've logged in with the standard login, which is BDI, and I'm able to go into sensors and change what kind of calibration file the sensors have. So it's best to, because you're able to do that, it's best to not be logged in. So I just entered a wrong password, and that'll log you out. But now if I go in and click on a sensor, you'll see that I'm not allowed to change any of those settings, as indicated by the lock icon on top. And this is best to use for general testing. That way that any of the settings for the calibration file for sensors don't get changed by accident. But if you do need to change any of those sensor settings, you can log in here and go back and be able to change settings on those sensors. And that is it for the settings tab video. Please check back for videos for the hardware tab as well as the plots tab.